Hello, in today's video, I'm applying a full face of my personal favorite Laura Mercier products. This isn't sponsored. I have just been using and loving Laura Mercier makeup for as long as I can remember. But as with any makeup brand, not everything works for everyone. So I think as I go through, I'll share with you why I'm not using certain products, which ones don't work for me that I can think of. But I have a bin here of products that I love that I'm excited to share with you. And I figured this brand was perfect to continue my full face series. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new, and let's get started with applying my favorite Laura Mercier products to my face. I'm starting with one of my favorite foundations in general, not just from Laura Mercier. This is the Flawless Lumiere Radiance Perfecting Foundation. I don't always wear a primer with this, only if I have really long days, which I am going to be having. And the primer I intended to use in today's video is her Pure Canvas primer, which I love. I can't find it anywhere. My daughter might have it, I don't know, but it's not in its usual spot. So just know that I do love that primer. I'll have it and all the products that I use in today's video, whether they're Laura Mercier or another brand, linked in my description box down below. But the primer that I use today is the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas. It's fairly similar. I've talked about this foundation in many videos before because it is one of my top foundations. It's a very flattering foundation. I'm 46 and you know, my skin is not getting less textured and less uneven the older I get. And this gives a nice natural looking finish with, I would say, a soft radiance. Now I can get some dryness, surface dehydration, but my skin is pretty normal in the perimeter, but I can get some shine in my T-zone. So sometimes radiant foundations can be too radiant and too dewy. And as we get older, the thought process is that you want a radiant dewy foundation because matte foundations are unflattering, but oftentimes that radiance, that shine can emphasize pores and texture and things on our face that we don't want to emphasize. I tend to gravitate more towards natural radiant foundations. I think I said earlier that this gave natural coverage. I meant a finish. The coverage this gives for me is a light medium to medium, almost medium full coverage. You can see from one side to another. I mean, that just really evens out my skin. It looks really natural. It hides my pores. It's just very flattering. Some of you with drier skin may not even need to set this. I do because I get shine if I don't. I don't bring it underneath my eyes, so don't look there yet. This is a radiant foundation that I can actually wear and it lasts a long time during the day, even without primer. And it's really lightweight. I don't notice it when it's on my skin, even if my shine starts to come through a little bit. And if my shine does break through, it's not an oily, greasy shine. The shade that I just applied is 2W1 Macadamia, which looks deep in the bottle, but you can see from my face to my neck, it's a little bit too light for me. I usually mix in a drop or two of my Drunk Elephant De-Bronzy drops to deepen it up, but I wanted you to just see the organic finish. So we'll fix it with bronzer. If you think you're my foundation shade match twin, light, medium, neutral, warm toned, I always keep an updated list of my foundation and concealer shade matches on my blog, linked down below in my description box. The corrector I'm using underneath my eyes to counterbalance the purple is from NARS in shade Light because Laura Mercier does not make a corrector, as far as I know. That is a little bit surprising because she's so all about the complexion. I almost always apply a very thin layer of corrector, very targeted to the darkest points under my eyes, because layering corrector under concealer just works so much better than double layering concealer, and it helps your concealer work a little bit better too. I'm very picky about concealers because I do have dark circles and dryness and texture under my eyes. The Flawless Fusion concealer from Laura Mercier is absolutely one of my favorites. I often mix shade 1C, which is too light on its own, in with other concealers to help brighten, or I'll layer a little bit on top where I want extra brightness. The consistency of this is really thin and it's moisturizing. It lasts a long time. The deeper shade that I have is shade 2N and it is too yellow. So I'm customizing my own shade with these two. I need to probably pick up shade 2C. I like to blend this out with my fingers, but you can use a sponge. I find the warmth from my fingertips just helps blend it out really nicely. It almost starts to get a little sticky tacky as it fuses with the skin. And I think that's why some of you can get away without setting this concealer if you don't crease a lot. It's almost self-setting. I feel like I would almost be there, but I'm really creasy right under my lash line. Before you set your under eye area, be sure and press out any of those creases. You don't want to set those in. I'm going to set my under eye area with her Secret Brightening Powder in shade 1. This has been in my life for a long time. It used to be my holy grail, and then I started using some others, but it is really great. I just dab a little bit right underneath my eye to make sure I get an even application. skin. And then I press it in with a sponge in the areas where I'm really prone to creasing, just to make sure it's adhered and fused with my skin. This is a very finely milled powder. It wears beautifully. It doesn't look like you have powder underneath your eyes. This is a favorite among many for good reason. I read recently that there's one translucent loose powder from Laura Mercier sold every 20 seconds, which is just astonishing to me. I think this is the most popular best-selling loose setting powder there is, and it's been that way for years. It's also the 25th anniversary of Laura Mercier translucent powder, so they have this limited edition packaging, which I think is so cute, and you can actually reuse this. And it is 1.7 ounces as opposed to the 1 ounce that you normally buy. It also comes with her signature poof, and she gives instructions how to use her poof, how to best apply this powder with her poof. I would normally do that, but when I apply my foundation with a damp sponge, I use that. So I'm just coating my sponge in loose powder, and I'm kind of shaking off the excess, tapping off, but I don't really care if there's excess on there. And I am just ever so lightly tapping this to my face all over, and it looks completely insane. You can roll your sponge or you can do quick taps, but you just want to keep doing that until that excess powder is completely absorbed into your skin. And that is how I like to apply it. It looks super natural as opposed to dusting it all over your face with a brush, and it helps my foundation and concealer last longer through the day, so my skin just looks better. So then what I do is dump the excess back into the container, and anything that's left in the lid, I just swirl a brush into it, kind of tap it off a little bit, and then dust my face to get off any excess. Just make sure it's all nice and blended. Now, I'm not completely finished with that powder. I'm going to come back to it in a little bit, not for finishing powder, for something else. So keep it close if you're following along or if you're doing this later. I forgot to mention my brows. I started out this video with my brows done because I don't like Laura Mercier's brow pencil. I used to use it and love it back when it was this triangular shape. Do any of you remember that? If you do, leave it in the comments down below. It was one of my favorite brow pencils. They reformulated it many years ago, and I just have not liked it since. It's very waxy. You really have to press down hard to get any pigment. So I just used my new favorite, Brow Power Micro in Universal Taupe. Yeah, Universal Taupe. So that's what my brows have been done with in this video. I'm feeling the need for bronzer because of the discrepancy between my face and my neck. So I'm going in with Bronze 03 in the Matte Radiance Baked Powder. A lot of people use this in the lighter shades for highlight, but this is beautiful for a bronzer. It has just enough of a sheen to where it's flattering, but it's not glimmery or glittery. I don't have to tap off my brush before I use it. I can just go straight into my face and apply it where the sun naturally hits me or around the perimeters of my face, just whatever suits my mood that day. I'm a huge fan of Laura Mercier Caviar Sticks. I pulled some of my very favorite matte and shimmery neutrals that I use on a daily basis. I'm going to swatch them here for you on the screen, and I think I have to source them in a couple of places down below because I think some are out of stock on one side and in stock on another. I don't know, but I'll have them all linked for you somewhere. I'm going to take the shade Caramel in between my crease and almost my brow bone area. That's the transition area, just to give a little bit of depth and to make the hood not so hooded. You know, you can see over here, you can't really see my crease. We're just going to help that out a little bit, give it a little bit of depth. And the reason why I didn't set or do any powder or anything is because I just wanted my lids to be completely naked for this. The beautiful thing about these is that you don't have to be neat. You can just kind of scribble them on like a crayon and then blend out the edges. It's just so easy, and they do it beautifully over naked skin. So that's why I didn't use any concealer, any primer. Now I am keeping my lower lash line angle in mind. I don't want to take it down below that because that'll look kind of weird. I am actually going to take this along my lower lash line as well and just keep it going up in the same direction. Helps your eyes look a little bit bigger, and I'll just buff that out with a brush. I'll link this brush too because it's one of my favorites for cream shadows. Another shade that's really great for this is Au Naturel. It works too if you want to go a little bit lighter, a little bit more neutral pink. I was going to go in with Sand Glow all over my lid, but I think to show you how these blend into one another, I'm going to use Sand Glow on the inner portion, inner 2/3, and just blend that out in the crease just a little bit. And then I'm going to take Khaki in the outer third, again, keeping that lower lash line angle in mind. And I'm just kind of dabbing this on. See how messy that is? And I'm blending these two into one another and blending out this edge just to soften it a little. I find oftentimes using these is easier and faster than using eyeshadow, and it gives such a pretty look. I line my eyes with Tuxedo and Cocoa caviar sticks regularly. Today I'm using Cocoa and I'm dipping a flat eyeliner brush straight down into it, and I'm going to press it into my lash line. And if all you wanted to do was tightline and mascara, you could leave it there. But I'm going to do the same thing with a tiny angled brush, sticking with the angle of my lower lash line just to give a little bit of a lift. I'm just going to build that up, and this will last all day. If you don't want to be that precise, you can use a really finely tipped pencil brush. Do the same thing, dip it in there and just wing it out if you want, or you don't have to wing it out. You can keep it localized to your lash line. I just find the older I get, the smudgier the better because of the creases of my eyes that go down a little bit further than my lash line, especially on this eye. Now we're getting to why I told you to leave that powder out. So a lot of times I'll use caviar sticks only on my lids up to my crease, you know, kind of blend them out of my crease. But from my crease to my brow bone, I'll put bronzer or a blush. And I actually am going to put a little bit of that same bronzer in my crease because I'm just feeling like I need a little bit more of a transition up there. I don't know. I need a little bit more depth to help any mascara I'm applying not smudge onto my brow bone, because that's a problem for me. I just find that swiping that translucent powder from the crease up to the brow bone keeps creasing to a minimum and mascara transfer. So it's a little tip for you if either one of those are a problem. I'm going to curl my lashes and apply the Caviar Volume Mascara and come back and finish my face and lips. I use and rotate so many mascaras that I always forget how much I really do enjoy the Caviar Volume Mascara. I feel like it gives my wimpy lashes that are downturned and straight some nice volume and length, and it does keep my curl if I apply it over a light layer of waterproof mascara, which is the norm for a lot of lengthening, volumizing, non-waterproof mascaras. It's very black, it doesn't smudge, it doesn't flake, and it keeps my curl all day. So I really do like this. You may have noticed that I had some lip liners in my hand as I was talking, and I did already apply Hazelnut Tea to my lips. That is this deep shade right here. Swatched on my hand, it is this shade furthest away from me, that deeper shade. In the middle, we have the shade Rosewood, and the shade closest to me is Baby Lips, that kind of peachy shade. Now, I wouldn't say this is the creamiest lip pencil formula I've ever tried. So you might be asking, why is it in this video? Because this is a favorite Laura Mercier products video. The shade Hazelnut Tea in particular fills a void. The shade is not like any other shade that I have, and it's not a drying lip pencil formula. It actually glides on really nicely. It's flattering. It adheres to my lips completely. I mean, my lips feel normal. They don't feel creamy. They don't feel dry, but it stays. And because it stays, it helps lip products that are applied on top of it also stay longer. But I like the shade. It's not like anything else I have in my collection. I find these two shades to be the same, and I do like the formula, even though it's not super, super creamy. The Blush Color Infusion blush formula from Laura Mercier is one of my favorites of all time. Not just from her, from any brand. It's everything you want a blush to be. It's smooth. It glides on beautifully. It's never patchy. There's no kick up. They last forever on the skin, and the product just seems to last forever too. There are matte shades. There are radiant shades that aren't glimmery. They're just really flattering. And there's shades to suit every skin tone. I just find the variety, the versatility is just phenomenal with these blushes. I love them. I have so many shades. I pulled these two shades to go with this deeper neutral eye look that has a little bit of olivey undertones to it. So this is the shade Chai that I have not used before. So I think I'm going to start out with Chai and maybe do a pop of color on the cheek with Passion Fruit if I feel it's necessary. These are both her matte formulas. I don't know if you can tell. There's just a silkiness to them that you can see. There's no radiance, but you'll see when I apply them how beautiful they are. I didn't tap my brush off first. I feel like you could see how easily it started blending out and building up. All of her blush shades are like this. They don't deposit too much color and just blend out and build up beautifully. So this is the shade Chai. I really love it. I mean, I feel like it kind of goes with everything, yet it gives you something. I could take a little bit of passion fruit, just maybe like right there. But I don't think I really need it. I'll just pop it on just kind of right there. It gave it a little bit of something, but the tones are pretty similar. So I think it just maybe gave me a little bit of brightness and that's it. I don't think I need any highlighter whatsoever, but because I love her Matte Radiance Baked Powder in the shade Highlight 01, I am going to apply that today. This is the highlighter that I recommend to people who think they can't wear highlighter or don't like it or don't think they like it because they think highlighter is going to emphasize things they don't want to emphasize. This is the natural looking highlighter that you've been looking for. I recommend this all the time, so it has to be in this video. This just gives a little bit of something that finishes off a look. It can also give a little bit of brightness that you didn't know you needed in those inner corners. You can highlight your brow bone with it, and it never looks over the top or too glimmery or unflattering. It is absolutely stunning, and it will last you forever because of the amount of product in here. If I could only own one highlighter, this might be it. I mean, that's a big commitment, but I've been recommending this for years for a reason. I really love Laura Mercier's Bullet lipstick formula. It's creamy, it's not sticky or heavy or thick, but it lasts a decent amount of time for a bullet lipstick. So I have several shades, but the shade that I went with for today's look is called Brune Pale, and it's just a nice, I would say mid-toned peachy shade that's not too peach. I'll list down below one of my favorite nude neutrals that I wear quite often. I'm blanking on the name right now, but this formula, I just don't think you can go wrong. I actually have a really pretty red in this formula too. I'm very picky about the formulas of lipsticks that I choose for my red lipsticks, and this is one that I really enjoy having in a red. And I do think her lip gloss formula is absolutely fantastic. It's a gloss for if you don't really like gloss or if you don't think you like gloss. I feel like a lot of her products are like that. It's also got kind of a vanilla scent, but it's not overly sweet either. It's got slip to it. It's not tacky at all. It just feels nice and soothing. I'm hoping she still has the shade that I'm applying blush available. She's been having some of her shades going in and out of stock, and I think she's doing a repackaging of these. I think you'll be happy with any shade that you get. They have just enough opacity and the texture is really nice. So that my makeup has this airbrushed, diffused, kind of candlelit glow look to it when I'm finished, I will dust over a finishing powder, and one of my favorite finishing powders of all time is Laura Mercier Candle Glow powder, which unfortunately looks like it's being phased out, discontinued. I'm hoping that's not the case, but I could barely find any shades of it anywhere. So many people love that powder. I don't know why they would be discontinuing it. The only thing I could think of is that she launched 3 shades of the Light Catcher, the loose powder, but that is way too shimmery, glimmery to be an all over finishing powder. I don't know, but I am really disappointed because I was hoping to have that in this video because it has been a favorite of mine for a really long time. I will link a couple of other finishing powder options that I really love below. I just dust it over my face with a dense brush. I'll actually link my video down below how I do that. I would love to hear what your favorite Laura Mercier products are and what full face or best of, worst of, one brand video you'd like me to do next. Leave those in the comments for me down below. I'll have my one brand playlist here for you, as well as January favorites and fails if you haven't seen that yet. I hope you enjoyed this and found this helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I had a lot of fun sharing these products with you. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.